Oh, hello. Hello there, bro. Yeah, we can see each other now. Yeah, awesome. So, we're going to start right now. Are you ready?
What's up, man? I can hear you, I can see you. All is 100% bingo.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, okay. We'll start
Yeah,
right now.
yeah, no problem. I
Okay.
can readjust my screen like that.
Yes.
Voila.
Yeah, awesome, bro. Awesome, bro.
Yeah, anyway.
Okay, we're going to start right now. Welcome, my
Okay,
friends. Okay. Hello. Okay.
welcome.
Welcome, my friends, to God, the Creator of Mankind podcast. I'm your host, Vivencio Junior Mastelero. Here we have my friend Linas Ciucelis. Um, he's a multi-art platform freelance art history student, and he is going to discuss a lot of topics today concerning God, nature, art, and means of expression, and his philosophy of life. Um, okay, Sir Linus, can you introduce yourself to our audience, and you have a special message for us?
Hello. Of course, I can to tell you that. Introduction, the part is kind of hard to tell because every day it seems sometimes that you are a different person, in this kind of perspective of what you're gonna do, at least in my lifetime. My name is Linas Ciucelis. I'm from Lithuania, which is like almost the center of Europe. um, I come from Kaunas, the second biggest city in my country. I'm an art student. I am photographer, actor for films and theater. As I did yesterday, I did a street theater of with certain interesting theme of politicians who wrote the Independence Act 101 years ago, and I was one of them, dressed up in that kind of fashion and walking in streets, and it was a heartfelt experience. I have this kind of a life of going through life in spiritual ways and in ways of how I am with my human consciousness and how can I develop it for the better and how I can send good thoughts to the world that those who pick them up, they kind of make them bloom. The life, I don't know, I have experienced a lot of things in my life, both beautiful and both as gruesome. And it's hard to tell a bunch of things just by talking a couple of words. I think life is something that exists over the world. The existence itself is more than just a word. It's a story, of course, and we all have our life stories, and I think we are willing to share them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Could you tell us more about your history on Lithuania and how it started? How
Oh,
about your act? Yeah.
Contemporary history or the past history, because we have both, and it's
Yeah. Maybe you could start with the past or something. Yeah.
well, my country was it's longer than that, but was first mentioned in the German certain historical archives in 1009.
Wow.
It's only 1000. Like Greece has its history over past 3000 years.
Very long.
Yeah, and we have a longer history, but like Lithuania is this last pagan realm of Europe, that we had crusaders coming in our country and fighting them, and I don't know. It's and we won, and we won. It happened 600 years ago, actually, and we won the biggest battle of Europe at that day with the help of Christians, Polish, because crusaders became not Christians but conquerors. They lost their faith, and you know, they
Nice.
started to become blood-shedding people. But history always somehow, you know, attunes itself with human moralities.
Yeah.
And my country was one of the biggest after that war ended with Crusaders. We joined with Poland, Lithuania and Poland Commonwealth. It is called like that, and we were biggest country in Europe. And we were also liberal, one of most liberal country where all faiths, faith of people could live here, not only Christians but also Muslims, the Tatars from Mongolia, and Russian speaking and Slavs, and it was I don't know, like common America. Yeah. And but later on wars began to erupt, and our country by the three countries, Russia, Austria, and Prussia. Prussia it was like Germany, kind of in a saying, you know, and they ripped up our two countries. And for past 200 years, Lithuanians was a small island of nation with huge capacity of knowledge and theory, and like we had in 16th century discoverer of rocket engines. In 16th century, 400 years ago, he created certain blueprints for rocket machines. So we have those people. But our story kind of was in a struggle because Russians all have pillaged our nation in
I see that.
like 200 years of occupation, you know, and now we're like for 20 years again being independent, over 20 years, and I am born as a second independence person. My age is the age of the country, and we are doing good, man. We are part of Europe now, which we weren't. And yeah, I come from also Lithuanian, wonderful people, family, and my family story is like also had its bad sides. We suffered from Siberian, you know, forced labor. My grandmother grew up in Siberia. When she was 5, she was moved from her country and to Siberia with her family, and she grew up there. But my grandfather, who's Lithuanian, and she was Lithuanian, she is. He came there, and he brought her back to Lithuania with my mother when she was 1 year old. He married her, and they grew up here in Kaunas, the place where I'm sitting now. Anyways, I don't know what to mention actually. If you could detail the question, I would gladly comment on it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great, a long history, more than hundreds of years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Could you tell us how you gain independence and your story about the independence of your country? Could you tell us more about?
like 19. Well, we started reaching independence in 1880s, like 1980s, and so forth, and it was spread over this region. Poland had their own solidarity group that they wanted to go from communism and our neighbors Latvia and Estonia also wanted freedom from Russia, because it was not like Russia, but it was the system of communism. It was Soviet Union, you know that term, I guess, from history and everywhere, and it was brutal, actually. It was like, I don't know, this lake of mud, as I heard from one Russian singer, Viktor Tsoi. And yeah, and there was this interesting story of freedom. Like people started gaining freedom not from fighting, not through fighting, but from gathering together, singing songs, being together, speaking together. That was this kind of unique act of history, and our three countries, they joined together with hand hugs, and it spread throughout hundreds of kilometers. People were just, united through the spirit of being free, and they kind of made their hands together, and it happened all over. And it happened like, I think, 500-kilometer line of people, And of course, in 1991, after we started getting independence, Russia had moved their tanks, and people were just standing in front of tanks. It happened on January 13th. And people were protecting certain places of institutions like radio, television, and like parliament. And we lost people, but we didn't take guns against the soldiers. We were just standing, and that strength. It's like Gandhi, what Gandhi taught us, and how he won against British Empire. Just pure non-violent resistance. And yeah, and when people reach after with that kind of how to say strength, it's actually really strong energy that people have together when they are one uniting meaning. And I could like say we have certain historical events that lead us to take us as responsible for each other and responsible for our own independence and freedom, because it's our birthright to be free and having an open mind and not forced mind and forced labor. And yeah, but how to say, freedom comes with a price as well, and it goes into morality, I think, of ethics and politics and other kind of contexts of existence. So this is kind of a story that I could share with Lithuania.
Yeah, that's an amazing history, And here in the Philippines, we have similarities too, because we also had what you called it, people power, when the people try to stop the military coup d'etat between the Marcos regime. That's they exhibit some kind of people power, and the people became intermediate between the forces that try to kill each other using weapons. Yeah, they go in between and use prayer and rosaries and flowers, give flowers to the soldiers. And yeah, it's just similar to your country also, but your country is the first, I think, because you started it in around the 1800s, and I think we did it in around more than 1950s later. Yeah. So yeah, we have similarities. Yeah. So
well, yesterday I was acting as those politicians who signed the Lithuanian Independence Act, and I kind of we had our director who was teaching us, and he also participated in the street theater, and he said like wonderful thing, how you act in that act, as a personage, feel that joy that you just signed independence for people, and people should like feel that independence, that I am independent, and everyone should be independent. And I don't know, like I think you had the occupation of Japan as well, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Did,
I
we
know I did a lot
experienced
of,
a lot of very difficult times at that time. Many
oh
people
yeah,
died. Yeah.
yeah, here
People.
in Lithuania as well. And it touched my family and, you know, my ancestors, I mean, so,
It's
but
great.
life goes on and we are creating our life. Now the future is in our hands and we should create a better future and everyone should think about it
Yes.
because it's important.
Yes, yes, that's true. And we should continue on living, and we are carrying the legacy that of our ancestors. Yes.
Yes, yes, because they run in our blood.
Yes, that's true. Could you tell me your views about God? What do you can you share to us? What your thoughts?
Oh, well, I really don't know if my views would be accepted because we are like a mix of views, and for me, God is something over larger than views and words, and it's just a feeling of sublime, the light, and it's love and much more than that. And
Yes.
I would don't really want to talk much about God because it's such a fragile still theme. But like in Lithuania, we call him Dievas. And if we mix Dievas, the words like backwards, it goes into a word Veidas, which means face. That same word. And Lithuanian language has a lot of God everywhere in its historical sentence and views of how it was. And like when Crusaders came into Lithuania, we had that God of oneness, just in different kind of belief, and it still goes on. I don't know. I kind of respect all kind of acts that respect God, like I can burn some fire, sing songs to that fire, and to wish everyone best of life, to the world best of it, because we have to do it to each other. We are the support of life to each other and to the world, and we are His children. Like Jesus said that we are His children, and he was telling all of us that we have to not denounce ourselves, but to say like we are the hand of God, the
Yes.
children of God, and we can create a better world here, and morality and lots more, and of course current affairs that we are still using money and we're not somehow expanding our knowledge, which we need. It's our tool as well, knowledge, and we are, how to say, uh, in scientific terms, we are the result of evolution. And it's God created time that led us to evolve from this kind of organism, to wow. And you know that there is this wonderful movie, Kymatica, Kymaticia. And in that movie, it's a wonderful movie about human existence and how we should look up to it. Like when a woman gets pregnant, a little child goes through evolution of somewhat of 6 billion years. From two cells, it becomes this human in a belly, and we get out of that being, that state of growing in a other person, and we come out and we evolve furthermore. And I think. Uh, evolution now has to come to certain things of our ideas, how we think, because it didn't stop by us having five fingers. No, there's more. There's more. We can go to space now.
Yeah.
And we can succeed in loads of things. And of course, there is certain morality that we lack for the nature and for others who are not that well bred or grown up and get and they should be helped as well. We are a wonderful being. We are the empathy of life and we care for each other. We want a better life for ourselves and others. And I think we are still having evolution on our side because we have technology. Now I'm talking with you, and how many kilometers are we apart?
Thousands of miles, yeah.
Thousands, yeah. And we're talking right now, and it's wonderful. And I wonder if we can get that same result with our planets.
Yeah, that will be
One day,
wonderful.
yeah, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I think what I wanted to share now in this speech is like God is wanting us to be good, and it's like yesterday I saw a wonderful movie, and it reminded me how it is. It's God is here and here, between our mind and our heart, and always been that. If you let mind take over heart, you'll run into bad, heartless decisions. If it's all heart, you can get angry, upset, really big. But when it's two, then it's synchrony. You are a magician then, like you.
I agree with everything you said, and it's a wonderful
Thank you.
experience. And can you share us your experience about nature and your thoughts about nature?
Oh, nature. Nature is in our hands, like in it, and we have biology of organisms in our veins and our stomach, and but nature is something that we shouldn't put us into our living caves of four walls, but we should go out and experience to it and listen to it. And like nature has also these frequencies. I don't know if you heard of that term, Schumann frequency. It's 432 hertz frequency that we get from nature, and it's natural frequency. Here in our civilized world, we lack those frequencies. That's why people get upset far more or lose their, peaceful mind. And nature is something that cleans you up. And if you're living in nature, if you're part of that society of nature, and just growing and making things happen, you are rewarded by nature. It's actually nature has karma. The most simplest form. You can take a seed and just plant something, and it grows up, and you can eat. So I don't know. Nature is something of sublime thing. I think it's elements. It's how to say. Oh, sorry. How to say? It's fire, water, ground, and air.
Yes.
And this is what we're made up of as well. So nature is well. God is also part of nature, and He created nature so that we could exist. We are the product of nature, and we have to look up in that by protecting nature from ourselves as well, and not making some kind of a waste of it. We are making our God respect we respect God as well, and we respect ourselves, and it, well, I don't know. I'm trying to deduct some kind of a moral thing, but nature has to be respected, and animals, they have also same senses as we do, same emotions. They also love, they care of their children, and they get hungry, and we respect each other. Like you have any animals,
Yeah.
you see what respect they give for us, our kind of a being, and we're still the same animal. Maybe they don't have a look of God or something like that, and we don't need it because we enjoy life, and we're supposed to enjoy life, but we shouldn't be destructive because destruction leads to suffering, and suffering leads to bad life.
I agree.
So I think, nature and returning to nature, it's a wonderful being. I used to do beekeeping. I used to live with Canadian, and we worked with bees. It was amazing how you can, be so satisfied by taking care of that insect, and it gives you honey.
Yeah.
And honey, it's a wonderful thing. It is a natural product of medicine. Honey, it brings out propolis and beeswax and honey as well. And you can mix those up and get products that give you satisfactory life quality, and there's no more that we need. And nature gives us everything. It gives us herbs that can heal us, and just now pharmacy. I don't want to judge pharmacy. Actually, it healed a lot of problems, but I think it now has become a product that it's being overused. People use a lot of medicine pills
Yeah.
that that we just use them, but it doesn't heal them.
Yeah.
And healing yourself is through emotion. What kind of emotion you carry in your heart and your mind, and body reacts to that emotion, it heals itself. And nature, as I mentioned, the frequencies of Schumann, it can somehow, I think I could deduct it into a way that it can heal a person. It can heal human psyche, human heart, human body. It just takes time, maybe without more than that, but it gives you those lessons of life that all of us have to take, and we are taking them as we do right now while talking. We're having a life lesson, and I'm sharing, and you're sharing your time, and it's great. Thank you.
Yes.
So
Thank
this is what I wanted to tell you. It's maybe I didn't rum up to this kind of discussion about nature, but because uh, nature, you just gotta experience it. You shouldn't isolate yourself from it, and you have to at least start a day with your bare foot walking on ground, on just that grass or soil, because it gives you energy. It gives you energy of life, because Mother Earth gives us a lot.
you. Yes.
So
Yes, I agree.
that's it. Nature is Mother Earth, actually. It's our primordial mother
Yeah.
from which we came out.
Yeah. My grandparents are also barefooted when they go to the farms, and they
Oh,
rather live longer lives compared to the city, because the city
yeah.
are polluted nowadays. Yeah. So it has more advantages if you are close to nature. Yeah. I agree with
Yeah.
that. Uh,
I'm thinking like I have a thought of making a certain movement of nature that people would just gather around, have drums, and they make a fire and they play drums and share their time, share food, share knowledge, and
that's
it's
wonderful.
actually how our ancestors lived, and how
Yeah,
we
I agree.
kind of share that unique experience of social time, social goodness with each other, and this is what we're lacking of in these modern times, because like people are closed off in their homes, they're watching television or now even just being with computer and creating that kind of a reality. They miss the real things,
Yes.
you know, because it's all artificial that you see from images and they're just made up. I'm writing a thesis on films, and actually, I can tell you, like, watch a movie that doesn't have montage. There, in that movie, you will experience the reality of cinema. It's like capture time, and it's never being, switch off with other image, but it's moving, 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 moving. And I know that Chinese have great directors, Mia Ling, I think, who use all those kind of artistic films, and they create magnificent cinema. You know, I don't know if you're common. I am cinephilia, man. I love cinema.
Yeah.
I think it's another art form that is still evolving, having its own evolution. You know, and it's gonna go further. I think with 3D virtual reality goggles that we put on, we can create. We are gonna go into future where we are creating a different life film, and it's just a crazy idea that I have.
I saw it and it's happening already. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And Brother Linas, what can you share about art? What are your experience and thoughts about art?
It's I'm like always been painting, but I'm not like a really good painter. But it's a way of expressing your subconscious. You know, that is what is hidden there. Somewhere there we have bunch of images that we want to be painted. Um, Art for me, as I studied for years now, and I'm writing my finishing thesis, I can tell you it's a way of expressing yourself, your bad emotions or good emotions. It depends on what kind of life you have put up, you know. And everyone is an artist, first of all, because when you are human, you are born as an artist. You are here to create a life. Which you're gonna tell a story to God one day for all of us, and like art, I don't know, like in in modern terms, I can tell you it's become so varied. Like you just can go into a street, put a funny hat, and do some kind of how to say abnormal behavior, and that's art. And you can be like to people, you can be like encouraging people or shouting at them and being this psychopathic, and you suddenly just stop and say, well, that was art, that's it. But I think better it is to how to say, there is this word in Lithuanian now that I forgot, but art cures the soul, I think. I think art, everyone should do art because it goes into this. If you know the term catharsis,
Yeah.
you know it, and theater gives you catharsis. Like yesterday, after all that show, I was crying. I've been to such a cathartic experience. I was just crying after our show. That felt so good. It was not tears of sadness, but it was tears of joy. And I found out because yesterday was also very personal day from my family side, because yesterday, uh, 2 years ago, I lost my grandfather 3 years ago. So you know, I kind of changed those tears into happy tears that I used to have those tears of sadness, you know, and that's art. That's what art gives you, happiness. Just find you find your other happy side of yourself, and others are happy. If they see art, they are like, wow, that's so beautiful, it touches me, I understand him. And it's really, art is, how to say, it's a form of communication. We communicate through art, as I understand, and throughout all the centuries. Like, you can find now art that is old as 16,000 years ago in those caves, painted by that primitive man, and you would still understand what he wanted to say, to you, and it's really powerful, actually, thing.
Yeah.
And now what we are doing here, this is also art. This is live art. We are television for each other, and we are communicating as well.
Yeah.
Like, hello.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, and it's great. Technology is also like how to say, extension of our artistic expressions, how we communicate as well, and what's more.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Thank you.
I agree to everything you have said.
Thank
Um,
you.
could you tell us what you meant by means of expression, or is this mode of expression, or what can you say about this? And what are your thoughts?
Means of expression. I was more considerable about the way you are expressing yourself. Either it's through poetry, or is it guitar, or is it other way of making ceramics, or I don't know, taking a photo or something. It's just what you feel good about yourself by doing it. I think that would be the proper way I could put it out.
Yes, I agree. So,
Thank you.
so
And what?
how? Mm, and
Yeah.
another addition. Yeah. You,
No, no, no. Everything is okay.
could you could you tell us about your philosophy, or what your thoughts about philosophy?
Well, philosophy. I studied philosophy, talked with people, and it's more likely a Buddhistic thing that I have philosophy. I just have a responsible, clean mind. Philosophy is about a lot of words and giving expressions. It's terminology, but actually, it's just and that's it.
Yeah.
Just be now. Just be now and be happy, because now is all we have, actually. And
Yes.
try to make that now a better thing for the future now. I think that kind of, and make it for others better, don't stop insulting yourself, first of all, because we have that brain that sometimes talk to us. I think everyone has it.
Yes.
And don't worry, it's just the sound that you just can forgive. That's what Christian.
Oh, excuse me. Can,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, the philosophy is a certain thing that, in my at least perspective, that try to be a little bit better with every day in something, and you will see what kind of a result with due time. That as you are getting better a little bit, better, you start to see the change of yourself, of your physicality, of your thoughts, and of your being, what kind of people you surround yourself with. Yeah, and never, there is also that kind of thing that also we have to have harmony in ourselves. And this is also part of growth. How harmonious are we with ourselves and with the other people? And it kind of resembles the thing. How harmony is in you, that harmony you will get from the outer world. for example, if you are really mushing your head, crazy, you'll start getting those people around you. I had those scenarios in my life, and they kind of taught me fix your thought first, and you will see well people as them they are in a harmonious way, because this is how universe reacts to us. When our mind isn't fresh, then the reality that is surrounded isn't fresh, and I think that is the simplest way I can put it out, because I did researches on consciousness. If you know what I wanted to say, this is part of God, actually, consciousness, and there's a load of things that we don't understand about our consciousness. And there is ancient Greek, the how to say ancient Greek saying "temenosce."
What does it
It
mean?
means know thyself, to know myself or myself. This is how you can understand where you are, and this is philosophy at simplest way. And there is also philosophy that I recently found out. It goes with a saying, what man is a man if he does not try to make this world a better place to live? This is, I think, for us men, really needed words in total. And there are people who are doing good things with their power that they grew, and they're doing great things. How to say? And I think world, if it surrounds itself with those kind of moralities, growth, being how to say, growth, evolution, clean mind, artistic way, poetic way of expressing. Well, generally, sum up all that I mentioned, you get a better world. When we are expressing ourselves, being kind, responsible, loyal to each other, peaceful, and not greedy. Those are old ways. This is something that created from past. It's no longer needed for the future. We learn from it. We have to learn from our past, and from our own individual past and from our historical past of our ancestors, because they did a lot of, how to say, not nice things, So we are the ones that are creating the future for others. So I guess that would be my sum up of this question.
Yes, I agree.
Responsibility.
About our past histories, that sometimes the more we become aware of the bad things of the past, the more we change, right?
Yeah.
So, so can you tell us more about your relationship with God right now? What can you say about your relationship with God right now?
Well, it's something that you experience everywhere. Now I'm talking to you, God. You're son of God. So
We are
this
all
is
gods.
everything. We are all gods. We are His children, and we have to be good for our Father,
Yes.
and we have to be respectful for each other and for something that is above. I don't know. This is like relationship. You just have to be, in a relationship with yourself first of all to experience God, because it's the heart and the mind. It's those two talking to each other, and in that talk, you reach God. And faith as well. Faith is needed for everything. And I think God is where faith lies. Just have faith in it. Say thank you, God. I love you, and You love yourself, you love the other, and you love God. This is the Holy Trinity, and above it, actually, that Holy Trinity is something of a human construct. It's way more. It's way more, and you're here to experience God's world. It has a lot of dimensions here, really. Like it has dimensions of religion and cultures and nature, and it has dimensions of elements, nonetheless. Uh, just enjoy them. It's God's given wonderful world.
This is awesome, and we're going to explore that wonderful world. And
Yeah, yeah.
can you tell us your goals and mission in life? What are those goals, and what do you want to accomplish?
Well, currently I don't have much of big goals, but they are mostly my own interest goals because I have to finish my studies, and after my studies, I will go abroad, and I'm gonna go on to photography, or I'm gonna go into this wonderful, how to say, helping the people who are hungry mission. But I'll see. I cannot give out the word that I'm gonna do it because I don't know what the future gives me. Maybe my way is different way, and but I have empathy for all of that kind, and you know, it's a promiscuous thing, and of course, having a goal, it's getting more intellectual, of course. I still need a bigger base of background of intellect to run into a successful life of my own projects and. My personal advice that I discovered now that last month I worked in a bookstore. In a month, I read 4 books. I haven't done it for a long time, and now I discovered that I have to read. Everyone should read because it's knowledge, and knowledge is power.
Yeah,
Like pen is mightier than the sword.
yeah, yeah. Just
Yeah,
like what
and
our national hero said also. Pen is
yeah.
so yeah, I agree with you.
Exactly, and you know, national leaders they created the laws, and see what kind of power that has. You write down a law, and it's power that someone written it.
Yes.
So first of all, I think everyone should write down certain laws for themselves. I myself should write them, but I need to read more and more and more that I can have a good brain to write those laws, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just that simple.
Yes, I agree. Um,
Yeah.
uh, could you share to us some of your experiences in your life or whatever experiences you have?
Whoa, well, not all of them, because I have once in my life. My one of my experiences, not from personal but from wider perspective, like uh, being in projects that you are creating wonderful art. Like I remember in 2013, I was in Berlin and we were creating this one. In 3 weeks, we created a wonderful play called Playground Life. Playground Life, and you could see it on Vimeo. It's a wonderful film. Like the people, we as actors were being tortured by this clown who was who was this kind of dictator, and we kind of went through that suffering, and we said no more, and we left him from our side, and he started crying, and we said, well, you're our friend now. It was wonderful, that kind of a thing, that all that we need is a good friend.
That's
And
true.
it was a wonderful theater that we created in Berlin. I learned how to walk with those long shoes of 1.5, you know, those clown acrobatic shoes, stilts they are called, really long, long sticks where you put your foot on and you're walking. Uh, I have traveled to Kosovo,
Wow.
where I experienced wonderful European, you know the story of Kosovo, that it
Yeah,
gained,
some kind of conflict in there. What that's what I heard in news.
yeah,
So
yeah. The Kosovo is a city, certain municipality. We have also ground, and we declared independence from Serbia. It's in Balkans. It's lower, my country near Italy, over the sea, and I ventured there with a director of theater, also this philosopher and architect girl. We traveled with really cheap car, and it was a journey of 6,000 kilometers.
wow, it's a lot.
And yeah, and we would sleep outside somewhere. We stop, we take out our tent, and we take stuff, and we just sleep, you know. And we ventured through these wonderful places. I saw Europe that I haven't ever saw in my life. I saw the mountains, and it was amazing. And in there in Kosovo, I can tell you, I saw what is civilized Muslim state. You can hear the Muslim chanting from minarets. You know that how it sounds when there is a singer in that tower near the mosque, the Muslim church, and
Nice.
it suddenly becomes peaceful, so peaceful that it's wonderful. And I forgot to say that in certain reality that we are in, we are also sound. We get sound and we throw out sound, and this is what life taught me. Now, always listen to music which is 432 kilohertz. Listen to, as I mentioned before, nature sound. And what can I say? I have a beautiful American friend who is ex-war journalist, and he taught me a lot of great lessons about how to take care of animals from the street. And he himself has a couple animals at his home, and he's writing certain articles about both conflicts that are really inhumane, you know, and it's bad. And he's writing that we could have a better understanding of what we have to fix. And I have our friend with whom I shared a certain, let's say, artistic things and artistic expressions and movies and and journeys, of course. Like last year, I was in this healing facility. I was hospitalized, and after it, I had to regain my strength. And there, I met the Lithuanian Sea. It's called Baltic Sea, where you just stand and you watch and listen. And when you're listening, you start to listen to peace. The peace that you kind of forgot that there is in Tamil. um, I would like to say that I don't know if you Philippines are doing yoga. Are you doing yoga?
No, well, usually yoga came from India, so we
Yeah.
don't we don't do yoga here. We do massages, yeah, and other
Oh
martial
yeah.
arts. Yeah. That's it.
Wow, yeah, this is something that I would like to try, and maybe I should come to your place.
Yeah, visit us and I'll tour you to our tourist attractions and stuff if you
Yeah.
want to
No,
experience.
I would like to be in a camp of learning martial arts at least, or is it something that you have to do in when you're young?
Yeah, it doesn't matter as long as you could watch or you should can experience it for some time.
Yeah.
And there are teachers that will guide you and teach you how to practice martial arts. Yeah, we got a lot
So,
of
so in,
instructors here. Yeah,
oh, great. That's great.
I could introduce you to them. Yeah, yeah.
That's great, man.
You said you have been to 20 countries already.
What?
So yeah, you said you have been to 20 countries.
But it's like rather when you're hitchhiking, you know, through
Yeah,
countries, and or you're having like I had a journey with friends in a car, and we're just going and we're just seeing, and we have a plan. It wasn't like living. I lived in Scotland for half a year, and it was an amazing place where to live. Highlanders, they call themselves.
yeah,
Yeah, and wonderful people, really. Uh, um, I haven't been outside of Europe yet, and I am looking forward to experience myself in different
yeah.
plateaus, different continents, and life will show where I plant my foot on.
You could visit us and we will accommodate you whatever.
Oh,
Uh,
are you living in Manila?
right now I'm in Manila. I'm living with my relatives right now, but I'm traveling to different cities. So right now I'm in Antipolo City. So
Oh,
yeah. So just continue, and I hope to go to London and attend the graduation for broadcast yourself, so that I'll be
oh,
a broadcaster. Yeah,
great. I think you're doing a wonderful job. It's
thank you.
and I should get myself on this job.
Yeah,
So this is something that we could make a project together if
yeah,
you
that would be
if you
wonderful.
can cooperate the right way. Of course, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, you get to do some training and some modules. Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah,
You follow through. Yeah,
yeah. Well, I used to have a radio show, and I learned everything by myself. Actually, when
awesome.
I was in this amazing university studio, where you get a bunch of foreign people come and you just meet them and they talk on your show, and it's a great thing. It's a
Yeah,
great thing. Yeah, I don't know. Like for my and like there is one thing that I reminded that I would like to create a movie. I
yeah,
would like to create a movie about being the right human at the right situation and how it escalates into a wider humane being of a human.
yes.
Because
That'll
we
be
have to, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you could
And
you could start somewhere, maybe in a Facebook page, perhaps a Facebook group, and we could gather a lot of people. Yeah,
yeah,
step by step.
oh,
Yeah, slowly,
oh,
slowly we could increase. Yeah, that'll be
that's beautiful.
yeah. I agree with that. Wonderful thoughts you have. So, do you want to change the world? Could you? What do you want to change in this world? Yeah,
Mm, make it more socially equal, that everyone gets a right education, right food for everyone. Everyone gets good teachers of life, that they can be responsible artistically, I don't know, mechanically. Actually, science is also art, I can tell you, and people are really talented beings. We have to find out that they are talented, not just some kind of person told them that they are not. No, if human person surrender for to thoughts, and I would like to make a world more peaceful and more connected to our ground and Father Heaven,
Yeah.
and something that we can be proud of ourselves when we close our eyes before we die.
Yeah.
This is
Something to
something,
remember for the next generation. Yeah.
yeah. This is the latest that I can tell from my perspective.
Yeah. Such
So
a
I really I am praying for Earth to find their for Earth beings, humans, and all the matter that is surrounding us and energies that we are surrounded with. That it it has love, goodness, and peace too. So this is and consciousness, just consciousness.
yes. I
You
would
have to
love.
be conscious.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm. I want that to happen too. So, what do you think the future holds for the people and the world in general? What do you think the future holds for us?
Future isn't holding much because we haven't taken from the future what we have to take. We have, quantum physics.
Yeah, I heard of. Yeah, but not too much.
So
Yeah,
if you see, the mind is creating the matter. When there was this experiment, when we were shooting certain protons through certain holes, it depended if whether the protons were viewed or they weren't viewed. When protons were viewed, they were going in certain way that the holes are. Like if you have a hole, yeah, and proton goes through it and it lands on that place. It's when the human is watching. But when the human isn't watching, protons end up everywhere, and we don't know how to explain it. And you see, the thought that we are having now, I'm actually deducting a thought, and I hope it reaches. I'm seeing okay about future. I'm seeing it as wonderful ways that I once heard in this movie, Waking Life, from a scientist, and it's about the future, which is considered the truth, loyalty, justice, freedom, and our good moral stance. This is what we have to hold.
yeah, yeah. That would be a wonderful feature, my friend. Yeah,
Yeah, and I see future in that perspective because humans now are creating a neo-human, the artificial intelligence human,
yeah,
and they're gonna collide. There's gonna be a collision of those two humans, and there's something gonna elapse that will jump through space and time and loads of fantasy in it, and there are certain truth to it.
that
And
could
I
happen.
don't know. Yeah, and it can happen.
Can
Everything
happen.
can happen. Because if we think of it, that's the way it can happen. Because it is. So what I can tell is good future comes if we bring good thoughts. Let's have a good thoughts about the future, and we will have it.
Yes, I agree,
Yes.
and that would be a wonderful and exciting future I'd never
Yeah.
experienced before. Yeah. Any last thoughts or message to our audience before we close our yeah.
Think of good thoughts, guys. Think of good thoughts, and remember that everyone is another you.
Yeah.
This is my message.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the wonderful message and
Yeah.
knowledge and experiences that you have shared to us, Brother Linas. And we hope our audience gain a lot from this. interview, and they have listened to all your advices and thoughts. And in behalf of our the creator of Mankind podcast, we're closing this episode and interview. We thank you for
I
joining
thank you
us.
too as well. Much appreciation.
Yeah, it's a wonderful experience. You have shared to us a lot of wonderful stuff, and we very grateful for this. And
You're welcome. It was my perhaps sole purpose to share those ideas and see how you can escalate them.
mm, so thank you very much for listening, guys, and my friends for this Creator of Mankind podcast. Until we meet again next time, and God
Oh
bless.
yeah.
Yeah, and goodbye.
God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Okay, bye bye.
Namaste. Bye
Okay,
bye.
namaste. Bye bye.